What is up, Maine Mariners Nation? This is the Maine Hockey Report brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. I'm your host, Benjamin Kennedy. Thank you so much for checking this out here on this Saturday. Want to start by just a real quick apology. It has been a couple weeks since I've been able to get back and get some information out there and do a podcast. Life has just been busy, man. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Work has been busy. My kiddo has been busy, and unfortunately, priorities have to take precedent over hockey and over podcasting sometimes. So, do apologize for that. I'm also next week going to be away on a work trip out to Phoenix, Arizona. So, looking forward to some sunshine and some warmth. I am hoping to record something today, more NHL centric, that I'll have out next week while I'm gone. So there'll be something at least up on the channel for you all to consume. So how are those Super Bowl preparations coming, man? We got the big game tomorrow night. Of course, being a New England guy, I'm a big Pats fan. I don't really have a feel one way or the other about tomorrow and how it's going to go. I've said it all along this year that I thought that the Pats are a couple years ahead of schedule, that they've played so well. Yeah, they had a 6-place schedule, but they smoked it. They've gotten through the playoffs, and they are an absolute worthy AFC champion. I still feel like they're a little bit ahead of schedule, so kind of think we're playing with house money. I just do. Obviously, I'll be disappointed if we lose, but I'm not going to cry my Cheerios like I did when my Blue Jays, lost to LA earlier this fall. But should be a fun game. I got my chicken wings marinating right now, ready to go. I hope you all can enjoy the game tomorrow night. And win, lose, or draw, what a run it's been for those New England Patriots. But we're not going to talk football today. We are talking the Maine Mariners going back to last night. Big win over the Orlando Solarbears, 6-3. Not a great start. However, Maine down 2-1 after one period, but a huge second period to take control of the game. Shots on goal on this one, guys, 33-28 for Orlando. 15-9 in the first period for Orlando, 11-9 for Maine in the second, and 9-8 Orlando in the third. Power play 1-for-4 for the Solarbears, 0-for-1, just the one opportunity there for Maine. Orlando got the goal scoring started with Newkirk there at the 12-13 mark in the first period, but it was Zach Jordan with the answer, his 6th of the year, assisted by Bellamy. And just, 10 seconds after that, that clunky goal by Lucic goes in for Orlando. They retake the lead, and that was your score after one. But it was Andreev at the 3:50 mark in the second, his 9th of the year, assisted by Underwood and Hudson. Lucic would get another one there for Orlando to take the lead yet again in this game. But then it's all Maine after that. Lampa with his 10th from Vidmar and Nielsen. That was at the 8:32 mark in the second. Zach Jordan with number 7, his 2nd of the game. The 16-11 mark from Kalmakoff and Anderson. Of course, Anderson playing against his former club, so I'm sure that felt pretty good for him. And then Venuto with 2 goals there in the third, his 11th and 12th. The first one at the 10-12 mark from Hudson and Andreev. And then the empty netter at the end to seal the deal again, Venuto from Hudson and Andreev. And I'll go back to that first Jordan goal. Of course, that was a shorthanded look for him and for the team. So we haven't had many of those this year, but I think Orlando's given up a few this year. So a nice way to crack the scoreboard there. It was, of course, Brad Arvanitis in net on this one, 30 saves on 33 shots. So overall, you look at that box score, you say, yeah, solid win for Maine, right? Solid win. Nothing to see here, nothing to worry about. But clunky first period, I would say. You give up the lead, early, and then you take it back. You get back to tie, and then you give it right back up. Something that Keel said on the broadcast last night, and I went back and looked through the last number of games. First period shots on goal have really become a problem for Maine in terms of what they've allowed. Here's the last few games. Of course, last night they gave up 15 in the first. If you go back to the games in Adirondack, on the first, they gave up 15. On the 31st, 15. On the 30th, 16. 3 of the last 4 games, they've been losing after one. So you're putting yourself in a position to chase the game. You go back even further against Wheeling and Troyes, the last couple here at home. I gave up 11 in each of those first periods. So It's a problem. You continue to give up a lot of shots. You're not controlling enough of the ozone in that first period, and you're chasing the game too often. You're good enough oftentimes to come back, but it's really kind of a problem, something they're going to have to clean up. You wonder what they do tonight. Of course, Orlando and Maine back on the ice at 6 p.m. from the Cross Insurance Arena. This will be the last home game for your Mariners until March 1st when Trois Riviere comes back. Of course, Maine heading down to Florida to play the Everblades and back to Bloomington before stops then in Adirondack and Worcester before they head home. So if you want to see any live action here in Portland, you got to go get those tickets tonight. Go check it out. Keels will be on the call at 6 p.m. Super Bowl 60 deserves a sports book built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. Anything can happen during the Super Bowl, and DraftKings has your back with early exit. If your player goes down in the first half, you still get paid in cash when your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. While other sports books don't offer injury protection, DraftKings covers the entire first half, even the second quarter. And early exit works on live bets too. Pre-game or in-game, DraftKings has you covered. Guys, what will Mike Vrabel's defense have cooked up for those Seattle Seahawks? Will the moment be too big for Patriots young quarterback Drake May? And how many Malcolm Butler references are we going to hear throughout the day? It should be a lot of fun. New to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario, restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio limited time offer. So I would say overall, I say big picture here, guys, a great response game, I think, for Maine. When you think about the Adirondack weekend, last weekend, how just clunky it was, and Adirondack continuing to be a real thorn in the side for the Maine Mariners. I think this was a really good response game and a good response second period where they get those 3 goals. They limit the shots a little bit for Atlanta, only giving up the 9 shots. And this is a team that all year I feel has responded very well to coaching. They've come out, been able to make adjustments. I like that about them because that means they're listening to coaching. They're responding. They're not just getting stuck in their own ways or stuck in bad habits. They're able to take feedback and apply it very, very quickly. And we've seen this a lot this year where kind of even or kind of clunky first periods, they've come out on fire in a lot of second periods. I'd love to see, and I've had to go back and look at all the numbers from each game in terms of their second period play, because I feel like oftentimes they've played quite well following up a bad period in the first. So yeah, I'll be curious to see what we see tonight. But again, good response game, both from, kind of the bigger perspective from last week and more of a micro perspective just within the game. I thought they responded very, very well. Of course, we're still dealing with no Luke Haviland and no Jacob Perreault, both still in Providence. We know that Matty Patra for the Boston Bruins did get sent back to Providence. Of course, the NHL on their Olympic break, so pretty obvious move that Matty would end up back with the P Bruins. Kind of sort of thought maybe that would lead Perreault back here, but Jacobs earned that opportunity and good on him. One big move, or the only real move lately here for the Mariners, of course, they signed former University of New England forward Ryan Kuzmich, I think is how you pronounce it. I think it's Kuzmich, and apologize if I'm butchering that. Of course, he had been spending some time in the SPHL this year, playing for the Knoxville Ice Bears. He had gotten into 33 games there, 12 goals, 7 assists for 19 points. Does have 3 other games in the ECHL from this year with Rapid City, where it looks like he just had the 1 assist. Of course, a former University of New England forward, played 4 years there. Looking at his final year there, 27 games, had 35 points, had another 37-point season a couple years prior to that. So, yeah, got into the game last night, just kind of looking at the box score here for him. Yeah, no shots on goal. Didn't really record anything there, but we'll be curious if he's back out there tonight. And obviously, Maine needs bodies and good local guy, and he was available. So, 25 years old out of Norton, Massachusetts, of course, 6 foot, 190-pound right wing player. So, always good to see some of these local guys play for the Maine Mariners. For Orlando, they have had some transactions today. Of course, goalie John Gillies is heading back to Syracuse. He did not play last night. Of course, Orlando making the goalie change partway through that game last night. But more importantly for tonight's game, perhaps, is forward Spencer Kirsten, who had been up with Syracuse, heading back to Orlando. Now, he only got into 2 AHL games, but in 35 games with Orlando this year, 18 goals, 21 assists for 39 points. So this is a big-time goal scorer, big part of their offense, and we'll be curious. It was just announced today if he was already on a bus back coming up to Portland from Syracuse. Not a horribly long trip. You wonder if he doesn't get in the game tonight. So that will be something to keep our eyes on, guys. I am going to keep this one rather short. I'm not going to go back and review those Adirondack games. We all watched them. They were hard to watch. A lot of physicality, a lot of fighting. We know that Maine has continued to try to, build a roster that can be a little bit more physical, a little more tough. And I think they've done a good job of that. I mean, look at what Venuto and Jordan have brought to the table. I mean, 4 goals between them last night. I think they both have been seamless fits. I think it's something that Coach Kowalski continues to do a great job of, is bringing in guys that just fit into the culture, fit into the system immediately, and bring immediate impact. It's all about getting this team healthy. Let's forget about Providence for a second, because we have so little control on what Boston and Providence do. We got to worry about what we can do here as we get into the stretch run, the second half of the season, as we run to hopefully a playoff spot. It's all about getting healthy. Ty Shovelday off. Let's get him healthy. We know that Devour, our captain, may not be till the playoffs. We're not sure. Definitely a longer-term injury. Zach Massicott, he's another one that I'm just saying, again, look, and he didn't play last night again, so he's been out for a good while now. If you just get those 3 guys back, or let's just say you get Chevy back, you get Massicott back, that's a huge burst and bump for this team. And then, of course, there is that effect that you could get some players back from Providence. We still have Sean Elliman out in Milwaukee, who, if he does get released there at some point, would most likely head back to Maine too. Again, nothing you can hold your breath on, but it's all about health. And, I think Kowalski is going to continue to tinker and tweak this team a little bit and continue to look to see what's out there. I mean, the moves he's made have been really, great fits, home run fits so far for the club. So we'll see what we see tonight. I would expect Arvanitis back in net tonight. Of course, you have an emergency goaltender that was signed that's there with the club right now. So the shells are a little bit bare when it comes to goaltending, but luckily Arvy's been very, very good for us so far this year. Veteran guy, and just great to see him getting honored with some great playing time and playing quite well, despite being snake bitten a little bit, but held up well last night, 33 shots on him. And, you go back only giving up 2 goals on those 15 shots in the first period. Despite giving up 2, I would say he kept Maine in this game. He allowed Maine to get to their game, get to their skating legs a little bit, and they were able to, of course, dominate in that second period. So we'll see what we see tonight. Of course, last game at home, no game tomorrow night. I think Mariners do not want to compete with the Super Bowl, so we'll all have a night off from hockey tomorrow night. And then Maine will be back on the ice down there against the Florida Everblades. That will be a Wednesday night game, so don't forget to go to Flow Hockey or Mixler to go check out Keel's call on that game. Unfortunately, I don't get to travel to Florida with Keel's for that one. I, of course, myself will be in Phoenix next week. So thank you for this. Enjoy the Olympics as well. We got Olympic hockey to be looking at. Don't forget, if you haven't watched my interview with USA Hockey President Pat Kelleher, that was from November. That is up here on the YouTube channel. You can also find it on Spotify and Apple. It was a great interview. I've already had some people say, oh, you interviewed him in November. Why didn't you interview him now? Well, idiot, he's not available now. He's in Milan. So he wasn't available to me. So it is a little bit dated, but I do think a lot of that conversation still very applicable to what we're hopefully going to see from USA Hockey over the next 2 and 3 weeks. So should be a lot of fun. Everybody, enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy the Super Bowl tomorrow. As always, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching and listening here. And thank you for the support as I've been in the booth a little bit this year with Mike. It's been a lot of fun. Until next time, everybody, be kind, show love, and God bless.